Today, we're discussing how to build a tribe if I was 35 with kids. So, I got this email the other day from a 35-year-old father of 3. This is probably the most common archetype I speak to through this channel and my other YouTube channels. And he said, quote, "I was wondering if you could do a show discussing how these ideas on how to build a town could apply to people who have a partner or wife and have already signed up to raise kids. I would love to live a nomadic life with like-minded buddies. It would be an absolute dream, but I am 35 years old, married with 3 kids under the age of 7. For the past several years, we have explored living close to church communities, church people, agrarianism, homesteading, and unfortunately, it did not yield the community or lifestyle goals we were seeking. We just moved to a better city with a tight-knit community. And he says, one thing I find is that though people are close in this new city, the issue of the phone and modern living still remains a problem for the most part. Most people simply don't want to engage, even in the most optimal of conditions for it. Are we at the point where all social engagement is now essentially a process of finding your people online via the vastness of filtering through 8 billion people, then finding a way to stay connected? How does this look when family life essentially needs affordability, local bonds, local resources, and stability? Can it be approached the same way you are proposing? I'm open to any and all ideas, as my experience of family life with young kids since 2018 has been anything but thrilling, even with the best intentions. The system is so stacked against young families, it would almost be better if we didn't procreate anymore. It seems impossible to know how to raise a child in a world where you have no idea what it will even look like in 5 years. So this is a great question. How do you build real community if you are a family man? Let's break it down. So the problems addressed in this email, he said he's facing what thousands of young fathers are basically facing right now. You have low mobility when you have 3 kids under the age of 7. He's tried agrarian communities, homesteading, off-grid, the things we talk about on this channel, and they didn't work for him. These don't work for a lot of people for reasons we have covered in past videos. And then even in a tight-knit city, in one of the best towns or cities to move in the United States, people still won't engage, right? Maybe they say hi in the streets or at the pickleball club, but who's like, yeah, let's link destinies. Let's help raise children together, build a future together. Let's go towards an ideal together. That doesn't happen, right? And then the other problem is the world is changing too fast to plan for. AI is going to be super intelligent, 10 years down the road, and jobs are changing so fast, and the world's changing so fast. And then there's this big question for him. How do you make online connections local? When he asked, does my approach to building, new types of communities still work for him? What I want to say is yes. And our approach generally on the Retribalize channel is to build an outer network online, because online does allow you to filter through 8 billion people to find the most aligned people. It's why we built the app. It's why I make these content. And from there, you do calls with people, you build relationships with people online, and then you filter those into a real life residency or a real life community. And you test those relationships, and ideally you find a few best friends or co-founders who want to go the distance with you. My thesis is if everyone had 2 or 3 co-founders who are highly aligned, the type of friends who are capable, who complement you, and who are going the distance with you. If we had those types of people, we would be building micro communities, villages, and towns across the map. We'd be doing it everywhere because everyone just needs co-founders. So this is his goal, right? Is to have a tribe of like-minded people and families facing the world together. I bet he wants to build a family compound of something on the outskirts of a city. In fact, this is the number one dream of the 722 people I talked to last year through these channels. The number one dream is this: a family compound on the outskirts of a city where you still can go have a nice job. You can, raise children and have cool science, but you can have, your own homestead. You can raise food together. You can have your own education system. You can, and also feel bonded to the other people in the village, right? This is natural. This is ancient. This is obvious. Like, we need villages around us. But unfortunately today it's every man for himself. And this is what he's feeling. It's like, I got to raise the kids. We got to make all the money. We have to take care of ourselves and our personal needs as fathers and mothers, and the world's not set up to help us. So what's the solution? How, if you're 35 with kids, do you build a micro community? Well, these are my thoughts. I am not 35 with kids, but I am deeply embedded in this space, talking to people across the board. And I think we have thoughts that might really help someone in this position. And the real solution here, it's smaller than you think. You do not need land. Don't start by buying land. It's usually a mistake. You don't need a big following. You don't need the perfect town or city to live in. You don't need a self-sufficient farm. Also a mistake sometimes. People hate when I say these things because everyone here is like, I want a self-sufficient farm. Like, self-sufficiency is everything, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, start with people. Start with people, because then everything else will happen naturally and faster, okay? And you don't need a lot of money to do. All you need to do is find one other highly aligned family and create proximity with them. That's it. The solution to your problem is one other family. And let me explain why, okay? So this is the most common archetype I talk to. Last week, I talked to a few just to give you some examples. 35-year-old outside of Austin. He's 35 with 2 kids. He's starting a cafe and dreams of having that cafe as the front of house for his off-grid homestead family compound school and village centered around an honor ethos. Another guy, family, 4 kids, works a good job on the outskirts of Toronto, looking for 5 other families to start an off-grid family compound collective. I have multiple guys in the men's academy who fit this exact profile. They're talking about private member associations. How do you build new types of neighborhoods? How do you filter highly aligned families together? So because of these conversations, this is why we started Retribalize.ai, our app and matchmaker. Right now we have I think well over 700 users on the app, and it's going to grow exponentially throughout the whole next year. And this matchmaker is where you can you put in your information, and it's going to match you with the 5 most aligned people in our entire database, right? So that you can find people and do the calls that I do without having to build a huge YouTube channel and billboard to reach the whole world to find just a few. The matchmaker is a direct access to highly aligned people and co-founders, because you need co-founders, okay? So I'll tell you more about using the app in a moment. And yes, this is a shameless pitch for the app. I think it's perfect for this community. We built it for you and it's free. But let's get into the framework. Whether you use the app or not, it's totally cool. There's 2 ways to go about actually doing this. And this is going to be really relevant to the family man. So enough setup. Okay. Sometimes I do too much setup. Let's get into the framework here. So easiest way to build a micro community family compound is go to where it's already happening. Okay. There's so many of these already happening. They're happening in Tennessee. They're happening in Idaho, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana. They're happening outside of Austin. This is already happening. It's just hard to find those people. So if you do already have a project with 1 or 2 other families on it, please post that as a project on the Retribalize app so people can find you, so that you can find other co-founders, right? The second approach, if you don't want to go where it's already happening, or you can't leave the location you're in because your job's tied to your city, this is the do-it-yourself approach, right? So I'm going to outline the same exact process that I always talk about for how to filter the whole world to find your co-founders, but I'm going to apply it towards this unique case scenario. Okay. So obviously filter the world to build the online network. Top of funnel is so important and people neglect this part. If you neglect the top of funnel, you'll never find truly highly aligned people unless by coincidence or luck. You can manufacture that luck by building the top of funnel. So what that looks like is on the app or through making authentic social media posts like this. Talk to aligned strangers. I recommend doing about 3 calls a week. Do this for 1 month, 3 per week, right? You talk to, 12 people. Of those 12 people, especially if you're using the app or making really authentic content, you'll probably find 1 or 2 that you want to follow up with, right? In that, you start doing bi-weekly calls, right? Join or build an online community or discussion group, or just join one like the Men's Academy, my online community focused on building parallel networks and parallel societies. So you join something like the Men's Academy, or you build one where you just, have a group call, right? Maybe your 8 favorite people you've ever met online. You're like, hey, let's start a fraternal network or a sorority or like a family compound project, and just do a call, once a week or twice a month, right? In that, find your favorites. Be pretty ruthless about this, right? Just find your favorites and then position yourself, right? This is position yourself. Positioning is on 2 fronts, okay? You're building the online network, which is top of funnel. The next part is positioning. So if you're living in Duluth, Minnesota, you already position yourself by a good city with good jobs. This is really important. A lot of people who are into the homesteading off-grid movement, the biggest one of the biggest mistakes they make is they go like 3 hours away into the boonies, like of like, Phoenix, like outside of Phoenix, Arizona, 3 hours away into the desert. And no one who comes there can work a normal job. And the problem is you seriously cut yourself off from finding co-founders who can go with you. What I'd recommend is position yourself inside or on the outskirts of a city of some kind, right? And that way, you can position yourself to have one extra space for people to come meet you, okay? So extra space is 3.2 is step 3 or 4 here. Extra space, extra space, extra space. Okay. In my experience, the moment you have extra spaces, everything changes. We have a 5-bed house here in Guatemala, right, with my co-founder. We have 3 guys from the men's academy coming out here. Last house we had 4 guys come out. And because we have extra space and prioritize creating extra space to invite people from the online network out, we can verify the online network. We can be like, hey, come out for a week, come out for a month, come out for a couple days, whatever it is. Let's come meet the people that we already feel connection with and see if there's a good match. If there is, prioritize proximity, which will be the next step we'll talk about. But if you have 10K in savings, so if you're already grounded, you're in a location, you're in Duluth, Minnesota, right, or whatever, and you have 10K in savings and you want to build a badass tribe, invest it in extra space. I can't overstate this. Most people like save up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K and try to buy land, but then they have no money to build infrastructure on that land and they have no co-founders to do it with. It's the number one mistake I see, other than like living too far away from a normal city. If you have 10K in savings, build a tiny house, not for yourself, but for your friends. Like if you have 10K in savings, redo the garage to be an extra living space. If you have 10K in savings, rent the house across the street, right? Basically, you need extra space where people from your network can come stay and engage with you in real life and think outside the box of how you can make this happen. Here's some ideas for how you create extra spaces and why this matters, right? So when I said rent the house across the street, what you could do is rent a bigger house across the street. If you have an online network of say 50 people, you have 5, men or families or women that are super aligned with you that want to meet up with you. And maybe 2 of them are ready to move, right? What you can do is have them and you rent the house across the street where you have 3 bedrooms and then you have an extra room to bring people through. And also you just created a co-living space, right? This is important. This is hard to do. Again, you need to like learn how to filter people from the internet into your real life. But then you need to think about how do you build a residency? So when I was talking to the farmer yesterday in Minnesota, so this guy also in Minnesota, just a little bit south of Duluth, he has a huge organic family compound, family farm thing going on. He's like, how do I build a village here? And I'm like, well, build a couple tiny homes or get some extra spaces so that you can invite people from the online network into a residency program for a week or a month at a time and constantly bring people through the residency program who are aligned with you. And then from there, see if you can find a co-founder or 2. People who actually want to become citizens of what you're doing long term. And this is the same thing if you have 10K, right? So build a tiny house, build a glamping setup so young guys can come through, like just a nice tent, a bell tent in the backyard, right? Rent the whole extra house in your neighborhood if you get to that point. Or move somewhere that has an affordable Airbnb next door. Move somewhere where there's many apartments to rent right by you, right? This is just thinking outside the box, right? You just need a space where the network can come. And then basically grow these things one by one person by one person, and then get bigger spaces, renting bigger spaces until you have a team of 3, 4, 5 families ready to buy land together. And we'll talk about that. So, the thing I want to talk about here when it comes to extra space is, from what I've seen, real community is just proximity. Okay. When I have a great friend, one of my best friends when I lived in Denver, they lived about 10, 15 minutes away. And because they lived 10, 15 minutes away, I'd see them once a week, if that. We'd meet up at a climbing gym and go get a beer after. Like that was the extent of seeing each other. When Steven or Brennan or, my co-founders, my best friends live with me, well, we have a conversation every night. We train every day. Like interaction is just so casual because we're just living in a co-living environment. Now, this becomes harder if you have a family. And this is why you need to think about how can another family come out and see you guys for a week? How can another family maybe rent the house next to you, right? Essentially, you need to like slowly monopolize the whole neighborhood or apartment complex you're living in, right? And once you have like this kind of proximity is all you need to let things shake out and see what relationships will actually go the distance with you. Me and Steven were talking about trust last night, and he told me that he trusts me implicitly now, and I was like, what changed? And he's like, well, I've just seen you show up consistently on things you said you were going to do or in consistent ways for many months now, right? So he trusts me. And I think all of this trust, these shared bonds, a lot of them just come through proximity. You don't even need anything too grand, like doing something really hard. You just need to be by people. So everything I've talked about up until this point is just me brainstorming with you, 35-year-old with 2 kids, on how to create proximity with people. You might have solutions that I can't see, right? Some kind of conference, meetup, but I'm really thinking about how do people come and live with you for first a weekend, then a week, then a month, then 3 months, then a year. Okay. And what I just described there is the residency to citizen model. This is ideal. And this is what I keep telling people I get on the phone with. This is what I keep telling people on this channel is the residency to citizen model is what we need to work towards. Okay. So the residency to citizen model looks like you start with a retreat, and that's like 3 days, right? You do one activity. Hey, help me come build this shed this weekend. Some guys in the men's academy, they met up to go for a hike, right? And this could be an afternoon or 3 days. This is just a meet and greet, right? Don't put too much pressure on meet and greets. This doesn't have to be your best friend ever. Just get to know someone, right? This is verifying your network. After that, if you realize they're not a lunatic, invite them out for 3 weeks. I usually just invite people out for 3 weeks off the get-go because I'm pretty good judge of character, right? So when you invite someone out for 3 weeks, this is the residency model. So if you have an extra space of some kind, invite verified people out for 3 weeks, people to come stay for the month to live side by side with you. When people come out and see me, I make it very clear, hey, I'm going to live my normal life. I got a girlfriend. I make, multiple different YouTube channels, run a business, and we're founding an app. I'm busy. And I also like to train. But if you live by me, we're probably going to have great conversations and play chess at night, and we'll probably hit the gym once a day or something like that. I just let them know I'm going to live my own life. I expect that you take care of yourself and live your own life, but we're going to do it in proximity with each other, right? And that gives me an easy out too of hey, we're just going to see what happens. Gentle friendship is the goal. And sometimes that turns into really great friendships, the best friendships you'll ever find, right? After that, it's oh, the month went well. Well, then it's okay, cool. Let's do 3 months, let's do 3 months. Let's do 6 months. Let's do an experiment. Get the apartment next to me for a year, whatever it is. After about 3 months to 6 months, this is where a resident kind of turns into a citizen in my mind. Me and Steven have been traveling for about 9 months now, and I would say we implicitly trusted each other after about 6, where we're co-founders, we're going the distance, there's deep loyalty between us, right? That's how I feel about both my co-founders. So this is how you do it, right? And after that, once you are citizens, now start really linking together towards bigger destinies. Me and Steven are founding the Monastery Project. Our goal is to start this nonprofit that helps build monasteries in different cities, starting with the next great monastery in the United States, making monasteries cool again. This is the collaborative project happening within the entire Men's Academy. How do we build this parallel fraternal network online that has houses in the real world? That's our mission together. You can join the Men's Academy if you're interested in that. So he is the general leading that ship, while my other co-founder is basically head of project on the app. So it's really interesting is once you do get co-founders, you can start linking destinies and being here's the things we need to do. Who's in charge of each one of these? Let's go make it happen together. Okay. So as this applies to land, step 5 after that is collaborate on a shared economic engine. At the beginning, when you're building your micro community on the outskirts of a city, just the outskirts of a city is so people can work and get a normal job there, right? Or move there and find a job, or, hopefully there's some more digital nomads in the community that can work online there. But essentially you need to start thinking about how to build businesses as a community. Okay. This is actually pretty easy if you have 4 badasses around you, because it's let's obviously the town needs a new Boy Scout club, right? We all have sons here. let's start a new Boy Scout program, like a boys, weekend Sunday thing where we teach like wrestling, survival, hiking, wilderness skills, and we read the Bible or something. Like whatever it is, like, I mean, that alone, think about how many families in Duluth, Minnesota, or some of the more conservative parts on the outskirts of Minneapolis over there, like would go for that, right? Businesses are easy if you have four badasses with you, right? It's like, oh, we're going to start, an AI agency, or we're going to start a great bakery, at front of house cafe for the organic farm in the backyard, whatever it is, right? If you build an economic engine, all of a sudden now more and more families can move out towards you because they could get a job working within your business. So this is how you create parallel institutions, parallel societies: online network, online community, residency, citizen. That's the flow. Okay. So the simple, very simple goal is 1 to 3 other families highly aligned with you. Again, this is hard to do. Just start doing conversations with randos online, highly aligned randos through the Retribalize app. That's where I would start. And then don't worry. A lot of these people don't worry about land yet. Like, really don't worry about land. Don't worry about self-sufficiency. It actually is going to slow you down if you start there. Okay. Simply create the space for people to gather, come visit you, and come live by you. Every single person I talk to generally who tries to start a self-sufficiency off-grid project alone, the issue is they buy the land, they don't have enough money for real infrastructure to happen, and then they basically block themselves from co-founders because they have this like ego entitlement to the land and project, when if they had found 3 co-founders beforehand, they could have bought better land, had more money for infrastructure, and had friends to build everything with. But if you started alone, you're usually going to do it alone. And if you do it alone, you're never going to be that successful. So this is why you got to start with people first, right? So find 3 co-founders. Don't go alone. I repeat, do not go alone. It all comes from doing calls with strangers and prioritizing proximity, getting people with you in real life who share your dream. I have done this, right? It's truly life-changing to find co-founders, to find best friends, and you just need 1 or 2 of them. So find those on retribalize.ai. Go find your teammates, my friends. And there's also a link below if you want to join the Tribe Entrepreneur cohort, right? Some of the best people who are starting residencies, that I talk to around America and the world. We're going to be gathering 20 of them together for a month-long mastermind and course starting in the spring. There's a link below to apply for that. And yeah, this is my perspective. I could be wrong on a lot of this. So share your perspective down below. Peace.